Item 3, discuss and if necessary, take action on securing an operating loan in the amount of $199,280.40. So hospital district funds can be used to fund an IGT for the first round of fiscal year 2016-11-15 waiver funding.
When I posted the agenda, I knew that I'd have to, if we were able to secure a loan, that I'd have to have board action for that, but I haven't been able to do it. I was talking with First Financial Bank, and they, we didn't find out the amount of the IGT until Friday afternoon, so I went out and talked to the bank briefly Friday afternoon. Took them everything they needed Monday, and I, for a variety of reasons, and one of which was they just didn't have enough time to, I think, for the new president to understand the 11-15 waiver. You know, long story short, they declined to make the loan. You know, that's the bad news. The good news is it doesn't cost us any money in the long term. This is the 2016 11-15 waiver. They would make a preliminary payment now in April, and then they make the final payment in September after we've submitted the worksheet. They don't have our worksheet yet. They were making this payment based on last year's last year's worksheet. So in September we'll get the full amount. We don't know what that's going to be yet because they haven't finished the worksheet. Depending on how, I'll just have to tell you that the non-payment of the taxes from Luminant really has us in a bind and a quandary, I would say, because you know, sort of every month that passes, we think that we'll get paid from Luminant. You know, where we are on that right now is that the judge made a ruling on the value. The attorneys have submitted the order. Our attorneys, since we won the case, our attorneys were required to submit the order to the judge. That's been submitted to the judge, and then it's my understanding that Luminant has some objections to some of the items in the order, and that's being negotiated. I don't have any idea what the time frame on that's going to be. There may be a hearing. I'm told that if there's a hearing, it quite likely would be a private hearing. It wouldn't be a public hearing, and that's just from Wes and talking with Wes and with the county judge. But anyway, once the judge decides on an order, and has the final order, that's when the clock really starts ticking. They have a certain amount of time to decide if they are going to appeal or not. And in talking with Wes, you know, with a bench trial, it's my understanding that their opportunities to appeal is pretty narrow, because the judge would have had to make an error for them to appeal. So I don't have any idea what the timing of that is. I think we're optimistic. We'll get paid in April, because every month that passes, Luminant is incurring an additional $200,000 in interest expense. At some point in time, the attorney fees start kicking in too. And I don't know exactly what it is, but you know, if your taxes are so far in arrears, then there's a collection fee that goes on with that. But I mean, that's, you know, I guess the other thing is, if they should decide to appeal, they have a couple of options. They can, it's my understanding, they can pass. And then if they win the appeal, we have to pay them back. They do have an option of posting a bond and not paying the taxes, so that the appeal judges are assured that through the bond that the taxes are available. So, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I guess I'll try to answer any questions that you might have about it, but it's kind of one of those things to where no one really knows what the timetable is going to be for them to pay their taxes. And I'll give you my personal opinion on that for what it's worth. I think that's part of their strategy. I think their strategy is just to make it as uncomfortable for the entities that are imposing the tax as uncomfortable for them as they can do it, and they're having success with us. The other side of the story is, we're the little fish in this whole thing. So, but anyway, IGT has to be committed today, and the funds are drawn out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the reason I would have a meeting today. If they had made the loan, they would have needed board approval to make it. I knew that, so that's why I scheduled the meeting.
Okay.
But we'll see where it takes us. We may, and for what it's worth, it hits us at a bad week, because this is payroll week, 'cause we had to make payroll last night. If it'd been next week or the week before, we have a little more cash available, and we could have made a partial IGT. We may do that anyway. We'll take a look at what at 3 o'clock today, see if we want to IGT a small amount, because any amount that we IGT up, we get paid about 2.5 cents on the dollar. So if we spend up 50, they get us back what, 150. Yeah. So we'll look at it. I'm not gonna make any guarantees on that. I don't think I need authorization to make that IGT, because that's in the course of business. But if we borrow the money to do it, we will.
You just gotta figure out if we can afford to do it.
Yeah.
Well, the discussions Ray and I had, basically what we'd be doing would be taking our cush to make payroll and day-to-day operations with and send it to IGT. And if I really thought IGT was really gonna pay us for sure in 21 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the most part, the last year or two, they've done pretty good. But 2 or 3 years ago, they didn't do pretty good. And so I don't know, from IGT to IGT, just my comfort level there in trusting that the 21 days is really 21 days with them is
I'm like you, I'm 9% sure, but there's 10% that are
Right.
not, and then they're they say they'll pay between the 19th and the 19th,
19th of the month.
19th of the month, but
But I think the administration was in agreement that we shouldn't take our operations money and gamble it on the
Too
IGT.
risky, yeah.
It is too risky. It's not fair to our employees and to our vendors
Yeah.
to
we did that.
bet their futures on that.
Particularly since we'll get our money back in September, and I may have said this before, but I mean, if we were absolutely certain that we were going to get paid in April, I think there'd be some question as whether or not we'd want IGT anyways. I mean, the extra money in September is a good time to have it. Yeah. So, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I guess based on that, I don't really need y'all to take any